Getting ready to start day 3, the double marathon. Didn't sleep well last night. I felt sick actually. See how it goes today. Got 12 hours to finish 52.4 miles.
Adam really didn't want his total race time to be over 30 hours. With the first 2 days adding up to less than 18 hours, as long as he finished the run in required 12 hours, he would hit that goal.
I was hoping to have a time of around 11 hours. Maybe less if everything went well.
In order to ensure that the last runner would be able to cross the finish line in daylight, the run started at 6 a.m. It was a 30-minute drive to the run start. Check-in was 30 minutes before the start of the race. This was the earliest day for Adam. To support him, his crew would have to run beside him the entire route, providing whatever he needed.
We all started off with either glow sticks around our necks or our arms or headlights tucked under our hats. It was really cool, just a small group of people getting ready to take off on a really long run after 2 really tough days.
Fortunately, running does not engage all of the same leg muscles as cycling, unless you encounter hills.
Being in Florida, you'd think it was flat, but man, I think it was less than a quarter mile on the run when we hit our first hill. And I decided I'm just going to walk up every single one of them and save my energy and run down the backside. My legs were feeling it from the 265 miles of biking, way more than I thought they would. And yeah, it was going to be a long day. I just took it easy and settled into my slow running pace. My pacers were doing an excellent job. They were talking when I needed them to talk. They were silent when I needed them to be silent. And on top of shuttling back and forth to the vehicle to make sure I had stuff and stayed cool, they were making sure that I was drinking and eating.
At one point, before the marathon mark, one of the pacers was struggling to keep up with Adam. He could barely take care of himself, let alone Adam. When his run shift was over, Adam made the tough call of assigning him to permanent driver duty for the rest of the day.
I just didn't have any energy and I didn't need to be taking care of someone else. He actually did an amazing job driving the vehicle, giving me ice inside my hat, replacing my handkerchief with a cold one. Sometimes you have to make adjustments on the fly, and that's what we did. And unfortunately, it meant that the other 2 crew members would have to run a lot more than they were planning on doing.
Just before the halfway mark, Adam's Achilles started bugging him and his cold caught up with him. He could do nothing but walk. Every mile was slow and painful. Other runners began to pass him.
I thought for sure I'd finish the first marathon under 5 hours. And, as bad as I felt for missing that, at this point, the race seemed impossible. I had no idea how I was going to finish it.
With 26.2 miles still to go and less than 7 hours on the clock, Adam had to maintain a 15-minute and 50-second pace to finish in time. That would be okay for someone with a healthy leg, but for Adam, the task seemed nearly impossible.
I didn't want to give up, but I didn't know how I was going to finish. My leg was sore, it was getting hot outside, and the hills just wouldn't stop.
It was a turning point in the race. The once energetic and enthusiastic Adam was struggling just to put one foot in front of the other. There was no joking and no smile on his face.
I just started praying and I asked God for strength. I knew there was a lot of people tracking me. I knew my parents and my in-laws would be praying for me. A bunch of people following me on Facebook. And, I know a lot of people use that line, but, to me, my faith is really important and it's more than a line.
Sometimes prayer ends in a miracle. Sometimes it ends with an idea, wisdom. Sometimes a combination of things that all just fall in place.
I can't explain it. I was taking medications, I covered my legs in biofreeze, and I drank Coke, I was doing everything I could. A lot of people will probably attribute what happens next to those things, but I've had divine interventions too many times, and I know that prayer works.
Adam remembers entering a large intersection not feeling well, and by the time he had crossed it, something had changed.
If you'd have told me during those miles that I would start running again, I absolutely would have told you you're crazy. It's just not going to happen. And I knew I'd get my energy back, but the pain in my leg was too real. It wasn't going anywhere. And suddenly, I started running again, pain-free.
There was an immediate difference to Adam as a runner. Over the next few miles, he picked up 2 spots he had dropped and pressed on.
I was in no position to go fast, but I was moving and I was happy. You know, I felt so much better. I had a lot of miles left, but I finally had hope again.
It turns out that's exactly what Adam needed. He and his pacers pushed through the clay hills. Seeing other athletes' crew members unable to continue, he picked up 2 more positions.
Look, I'm not saying it was necessarily a miracle, but I know that prayer worked. And it worked for me in a real way. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I'm a problem solver. I'm an engineer. I'm a designer. And here I am racing again.
As the hills continued deep into the day, Adam's legs became sore and worn out. The longest training run he had done was 23 miles, and it did not end well.
I hadn't done one training run over 20 miles that didn't give me problems. Every single one, my legs had locked up. So I had no idea what to expect beyond that. You know, fortunately, my crew was giving me a significant amount to drink, and I was staying well hydrated, so that wouldn't be a problem. The heat wasn't really a factor either. The crew was giving me ice to put in my hat and giving me a whole cold handkerchief every so often, so I was feeling good.
Adam had to change the ratio between his running and walking to keep his legs working. He added tortilla chips, hoping to get enough salt. He was sick of the nearly constant drinking and eating.
When we were 10 miles out, I knew that I was doing good on time, and I knew that even if I walked at that point, I was going to be okay, but I didn't want to do a free fall, you know, all the way to the bottom of the leaderboard. So it seemed like I could easily finish under 11 hours, but I wanted to do better than that.
Adam's wife played a critical role in keeping him going.
She just knew what to say. It's like she could read my mind. You know, I guess after 23 years of marriage, you know, that happens, and she gave me what I needed, said what I needed, whether it was pushing me or whether it was encouraging me at all the right moments. I was just so thankful to have her running next to me.
The length of the day was taking its toll on Adam. The last miles felt interminable and his legs weren't cooperating.
I just wanted to go faster, but I couldn't, you know. The last 5 miles, I'm like, I'm going to run every single one of these and I'm going to go fast, but my body just couldn't do it. My legs were sore. My Achilles was starting to bug me again.
Both pacers joined Adam with 2 miles left. The driver went to park the car at the finish line and meet them a mile from the finish.
I just kept hoping that they'd actually measured the double marathon wrong and it was shorter. I kept looking for the finish line, but nope, it was the right length.
3/4 of a mile left on my 52.4 double marathon run. I've been running for 10 hours and 20 minutes. I'm really tired. My legs hurt bad, but the finish is right here, so happy. There's my crew.
All 3 days had been a team effort and Adam wanted it to end that way. His crew was incredible. One had kayaked 6.2 miles. All followed him for 265 miles of biking, and 2 runners had covered a marathon themselves in support of his run.
I finally spotted the finish chute. I was so elated, and there was nobody to chase down. There was no time to break, but I sped up to what felt like sprinting and clearly wasn't. I pointed to heaven to thank God, and then I tried to jump and do my traditional air guitar finish.
Adam crossed the finish line in 22nd place that day in about 10 and a half hours. His total time for 28 hours, 16 minutes, and 50 seconds was good enough for an overall 12th place finish. 4 athletes did not complete the race.
You know, the only thing a finisher board does is make you think, if you came back and did it again, how much faster could you be? And honestly, I was just happy to sit there with that finisher medal around my neck and being welcomed into the Ultraman family.
Adam's entire right leg was massively swollen. He could barely walk, but he was smiling. 3 years after deciding he wanted to attempt this crazy race, Adam Ward officially became an Ultraman.
You know, this is actually the first race that I've done that I don't believe anyone could finish it. It's a tough race. It takes a tremendous amount of strength, training, fortitude, and I thank God for giving me the ability and the strength to finish it. Just like me and how I was 7 years ago, didn't even know how to swim. There's a race that you can do, and whether it's a couch to 5K, whether it's walking a mile, whether it's doing your first sprint triathlon, You know, there's a step you could take to health, and you don't have to be an Ultraman like me. You can just start one simple step at a time.